Hello everyone, welcome to Salesforce Helping Hand channel. My name is Raul Prajapati. So today we are going to discuss Salesforce developer interview question and answer which are asked in KPMG interview. So there are my two students which are faced interview in KPMG and one of them is correct. Okay. So let me share my screen and I can give you the idea what kind of questions they ask you. Okay. So these are the some questions which are asked in the two interviews, guys. Okay. So let's go one by one. Some of the questions I'm giving you answer here, and some of may you can try to find on Google or your knowledge. Okay. So the first question they ask, what are the important features of Service Cloud, LWC decorator, and event in LWC? Okay, asynchronous apex, batch class, flow, and its type. Okay, so they basically wants to understand these all basic concept, right? And what are the features of this? Why we use in Salesforce these things, right? The next question they ask, like, have you worked on Flow? So yes, definitely, like everyone is working on Flow nowadays because, as you know, workflow and approval and process builder is no longer we are using here. So that's what we have, the only one option which is called the Flow, guys. Okay. So that question they ask. Then second, I think there may be the misplace of the order for the questions. So don't think about it. So the next question they ask, introduce yourself, roles and responsibility. So basically they don't want to give you like basic introduction part. They just want to understand what kind of implementations you have done in your previous project and current project, and what is your roles and responsibility, what do you do for the current project, what how do you take these stories, how you do the development work and all, what kind of things do you also have the teams there where you helping your teams to in the development work as well as in the kind of support for their whenever they required your help. Okay, so that kind of things you need to give them. Introduction part, you can just tell about your experience, your implementations, your projects, and which area you have worked in Salesforce along with your certifications. And apart from it, you can also tell them like what kind of complex things you have built up in last how many years of experience you have as per the experience level. You can explain that. Okay, so now the next question is, what is the a.nq action? So a.nq action is a method in Aura framework, right? So it is used to queue the actions. So whenever we make the queue in the action, or we want to we have a lot of actions but we want to make process through the queue, so we'll use the a.nq action, guys. Okay, so Apex server side calls with JavaScript control logic for execution in LWC Lightning component. It particularly useful when you need to execute multiple action sequentially. Okay, that means there are multiple actions you have, so one after another, another after another, another after another, like that. If you want to execute your actions, so in that case, a.nq actions come into the picture. They might be ask you to write the logic for it, what kind of things are required. So this is the way you can declare the a.nq actions, and in the action name you can pass the parameter whatever actions you have. And let me give you the example. So we have the this class account controller, and we just returning the query, whatever query we on the basis of account ID, right? And this is our or a component code, JavaScript side, okay, helper code. So we have this component event helper, and we are getting the account details here. So we have this method, right? Get account details. So directly we are calling this method, and we are getting the details in the actions, okay, because we are returning the query data, account data here. Then what we are doing, we are setting the parameters, and we are just using the account ID. We'll pass the account ID here, and then we can get the data. Okay, so next thing is we have the callback, right? So using the callback, we have the whatever data we get in result, so we are just accordingly checking here, and we are passing the things here, and then we are making it NQ. Okay, I mean we are queuing our actions. So maybe it is single, but there may be a multiple actions. At that time you should be you want to ensure like this action should be execute after this action should be execute after this, and this action should be execute after this, something like this. If you want to make it queue, you have to use the a to 10 queue actions in the Salesforce. Okay, This is very basic questions, how to connect Apex class with LWC. So I don't think we need to give the answer, but you take your time here and you can understand. Might be some of you are, having the less years experience, or might be someone don't have the LWC component much experience. So you guys, you can just take the idea from here, okay? And you definitely you can try to implement such things, because this is something, the practical things. So don't go with the only theoretical knowledge. Might be you will be able to give some answers, but when they'll ask you the cross questions, so maybe you can stuck at that time, okay? Now, the next question they ask, what is the relationship between account, contact, and also account and opportunity? So again, I mean, you will give the lookup answer, lookup kind of query. I mean, lookup field is there, but what kind of, exactly relationship is it? Because as you know, it is also share some special kind of thing. Now the next question is, in trigger use map, print key as a account ID and value as a list of contact associated with the account. So what we did for it, we have the contact on trigger on contact, and we have the after insert, and we are taking here map. Inside the map we have the list of contact, and then we have the trigger dot new. Inside the trigger dot new we are checking if account ID does not equal to null. That what needs to be done, it should check if account contact map contain the account ID, then just fill this inside list, and then we are just getting this. Okay, so this is the way we are able to print this. Okay, so here we are able to print this using the same logic. So you can go through this. I'm giving you few minutes on this. Okay. Okay. So the next questions, write a trigger if account status field getting changed to approved, then send email to owner. So basically, using the automations, we can say trigger, we need to send an email to owner whenever account status field getting changed. Okay, so it is very simple, because we need to write a trigger on account. First of all, understand these things, because yesterday I was taking one of the interview. So candidate in hurry, and he was not even thinking on which object he needs to be write an trigger. Okay, so first of all, understand the question, what kind of question is it, and where, on which object he needs to be write a trigger. So in this scene scenario, we need to write a trigger on account, because here we are talking about the changes on the account level. Okay, so on after update we are getting this, and we have the this mechanism, message dot single message and email. So this is, I mean, if you don't even write this, that is fine, but you should know the logic, what logic you need to write. So we are talking about if status is getting approved and the old was not approved, okay, something else, but it was not approved. So then what needs to be done? It need to be send the email to account owner. First of all, we need to the account owner here. So using this, we are getting the account owner, and then passing the owner email ID, and subject we are passing account approved, and body like you can pass as per your requirement. You can just pass dummy as of now, and add the email into the list, and just check the email is not empty, then just send the email. Okay, so this is the way you can send an email, guys. So you can take the time on this as well. Just try to understand like how we are sending an email to using this trigger. Okay, so there may be some different kind of questions asked, but try to understand sometime, because if you have more than 3 years of experience, so definitely some syntax you should be memorized. I'm not saying like it should be, but actually when you're writing a code, so sometime you remember the syntax. Okay, so they can also analyze on the basis of that. Now the next question they ask, can we send an approval request through the flow? So yes, we can send it. And yes, in Salesforce, we can send an approval process request through the flow using the approval process functionality. Salesforce provide a built capability to automate approval process through the record trigger flow and screen flow. And you can just get one submit for approval action there. So once you click on that, you need to find your approval process name. And once you click on that, you will be call the approval process, whatever approval process you want to call from the flow. Okay. So this is the way you can just call the approval process from the this thing. Okay, right. So what is the default size of batch? So this is I mean very basic question, so it is 200 guys. So write a test class for opportunity product line. To write a test class for functionality involving opportunity line items, so assume there is a trigger on fx class, some logic on the opportunity item object we need to test. Okay, below is the basic example of a test class that insert opportunity and opportunity line item records, which can be adapted to test trigger of a class involving the object. Okay, so let's understand this. We have one setup object. Inside the setup object, what we need to do, we create the data which will be used in our start test method. Okay, so here basically we are querying, and first of all, I mean this concept is even not correct. So what we need to do, we need to create the price book entry record here, and then we can use it in inside the test product. Okay, so in price book entry, as like price book entry, we are creating here, we are passing the product ID, we are passing the price book ID, something like this, and then we have the opportunity record we are creating here. So this is the things we have created, and we have to also create the opportunity line item record here. Okay, so we are just querying the opportunity, we are querying the price book entry, we are querying the opportunity line items, and then we are passing the data. Okay, so passing the data, like we are also checking here, as you know, like system.result equals and system.result equals is very important when you are comparing the data. So what was your expectation from that test class and what actually result you are getting? If both are equal, right? If both are equal, that means your test class is getting passed, your method is getting passed, and you are getting the right result. But if it is getting failed, you are not getting the actual result, definitely your test method is also getting failed in that scenario. Okay, have you worked on LWC component? If you give the answer yes, then they will ask you the lot of questions. I have recorded one separate video on this LWC interview question answer. I'll give you the video link in the description. You can go through and check. Okay. Now the next question is, what is a self relationship? A self relationship in Salesforce is a type of relationship that link a same object to the same record. Let's say we have account object, and on the account object we also have the parent account. Okay, that might be the possibility, because you see there is one Tata company, and under that one Tata company there are multiple branches, right? So here is one parent, and same way we have the multiple child with the same company, but the difference is they may be have the location difference, or they may be have the franchise difference. So but it is on the same object, right? So we needs to be connect them. So to use to get I mean to fulfill that kind of functionality, we needs to be create the lookup relationship on the same object, so we can link a same object record. Okay, what is the static resource in Salesforce? A self relationship is a lookup relationship to the same object. It is a permiss that allow user to take the object, create the relationship with the same object. Okay, what is the persona account in Salesforce? Why we use it? Person, I mean, you have heard about like person account, right? So person account is in Salesforce depend on the individual customer rather than the business or organization, right? So might be you are individual dealing with some other kind of business. So at that time you will be called as a person account, right? So Salesforce primarily organize data using account and contact object, where account represent company and contact represent the people associated with these companies. Okay, where however in the certain cases, particularly with the business to customer, okay, business to customer, and customer data is simpler and often does not have a company affiliations, person accounts address, the need only by the single record. So where we can do it the account and the contact in the single record. Okay, as you know, in current release in Salesforce, most of the things we can use the permission set, but what are the places there still we have to use the profile? So what is that? So still record type we cannot control using the permission set, guys. Okay, so make sure just check this as well. Which checkbox is required to Salesforce role hierarchy sharing model? Let's say you want to use the Salesforce role hierarchy data model. Then what checkboxes are required to use Salesforce role hierarchy sharing model? You need to enable the checkbox label grant access using hierarchy on the object level. Okay, what are the basic difference between application event and component event in Aura component? So component event and application event you can just go through by your language, but you can also get some idea from here. Okay, what are the design attribute in LWC component? They maybe ask you some question on this. So here you can take over on this and try to understand this. Okay. So design attributes nothing but are a custom property you can expose to make the component configuration available in app builder, community builder, experience cloud builder. So these attributes allow admin to set component in a page layout without modifying the directly. Okay. And the next question is what is the difference between SOAP and REST? So guys, there are multiple difference between these as per in terms of features. Protocols are different, communication is different, easy of use, still flexibility, performance, error handling, security, common use. So there may be multiple differences. You can just go and check it. Okay. These questions may be asked in multiple interviews. Okay. How can you call one JS control method from the another JS control? So it is same like we have to here one function, right? And that function we can enqueue the second function. So enqueue we earlier just read about it. Okay, that was our first question. How do you use value to the JS controller while using the hyperlink? So guys, this is the syntax we have to using the hyperlink. Okay. What are the LWC lifecycle hook method? What are the order in which they are called? So guys, this is very, very, very important questions. And I believe this is asked in each and every interview in LWC Salesforce developer or LWC developer. So make sure while you are going for the interview, you should aware about the basic features. Okay. Suppose you written an LWC which has the wire decorator to get the data from the Apex, but you are unable to get data from the server. You check your Apex code, but could not figure out the issue. What could be one of the reasons? So what you need to be check here, check whether you have used cache is equals to true along with Aura enabled annotation in the Apex method. Okay. Now the next question is, suppose you are using a get record in LWC to get any field value from the current record. Now you need to pass the retrieve value to an Apex method using the wire approach. How can you pass the value? So you passing the value to like this. What you have to do, you have to just you know this lightning record.ia, and here is we have the get field value and whatever field names you want, you just need to be defined here, import account name from the Salesforce schema. So this is we are not calling the any Apex class, but directly we are calling the schema, and from the Salesforce schema using the JS code we are I mean JS library we are getting this. Okay. So here we have the record ID, and using the wire method, we are get record fields and account name. Okay. Same way we are getting the result. So this is the way you can do this. Okay. Now the next question, guys, what is the mixed DML and how you can fix it? So mixed DML error in Salesforce occur when you try to perform DML operation on both setup and non-setup object within the same transaction. This is the restricted because of potential issue with the data consistency and transaction integrity. Okay. So there are two kind of objects. So you can also understand this. What are these two setup and non-setup object? Maybe they can ask you that cross question. And to fix the DML error, what you needs to be do, you need to use the feature method, right? So if you ask the, if you say the feature method, definitely they may ask you some interview question from the feature method, but no worries. We also have one separate video on the feature method, right? And yeah, you can go through and check like what kind of questions come on this. Okay. Have you used any trigger framework in Salesforce? So they maybe ask you to check your knowledge and what kind of implementation development you have done. So guys, if you even not work on this, but you should have the knowledge like how framework work, trigger framework, because this is very basic nowadays. And I feel like for the Salesforce best practices, each and every organization use a trigger framework. Okay. What are the best practices to writing a maintainable Apex code? To use the many meaningful name convention, limit the size of class and methods, implement. So this is very important, right? So we never focus the size of class and methods. So guys, make sure whenever you are writing the class, so even PMD, when you execute the PMD, it will throw a lot of error like your this class and this method is getting so many parameters, something like that, you will be get the error. But make sure don't make a too much large method and class, so you can split it as per the business logic. Okay. Implement proper error handling, use custom expectations, and adapt a consistent code style. Utilize a comment and the documentation. Use interface and abstract class. Avoid hard code ID values. Implement trigger framework. Minimize a SQL query loop. Leverage bulkification, use future and queuable Apex for asynchronous process, use descriptive assertion in test, refactor code regularity, avoid mixed DML operations, manage governor limit effectively, leverage batch class for the large data set, encapsulate logic in service class, version control of your code. Okay, so these are the some best practices you needs to be make sure while you are writing the any apex class apex trigger in Salesforce. Now the next question is explain your approach to testing and debugging in large and complex apex problem. Okay, so utilize the test classes, mocking and stubling, debugging and techniques, code review and pair programming, continuously integration deployment, post deployment testing. Okay, so these are the some of the ways you can use this. Now the next question is a batch Apex job is failing due to governor limits. What steps would you take to resolve this? Yeah, just ping no response. Now the next question is a client require dynamic creation of record based on the changing business rule. How do you implement this in Apex? The question is a client require a dynamic creation of a record based on the changing business rule. How do you implement this in Apex? So I would use here custom metadata or custom setting to store the business rule and write Apex code to dynamically create the record based on this rule. Okay. Now the next question is you need to build a generic Apex service class that can be used across various objects, and what consideration do you take? I would design the class to object agnostic, use generic object types, and ensure I can handle in different field and relationship dynamically. An Apex class is an exceeding the CPU time limit exceeder. How would you optimize it? So guys, I would optimize by refine the logic, refining the SQL query and DML operations cost, and possibility splitting the process into smaller, more efficient chunks. Okay. How do you handle an error in batch Apex job to ensure partial data is not processed? By implementing this strategy, you can effectively handle the error in batch Apex job, ensuring that your application behaving particularly and data integrity in mention. Okay, how do you optimize a SQL query that causing a performance issue? Handle exception, use custom error handling mechanism, prevent partial processing, implement the finish method, consider using queuable apex. Okay, so these are the things. Walk through how would you implement field level security in complex visual force page that retrieve the display data from multiple objects. How would you optimize a trigger that process large data set but keep hitting governor limit, especially in the SQL? So this is the questions for you as well. So these both questions you need to give the answer, guys. Okay. So make sure about the answer. Okay. How would you implement a dynamic approval process based on the record related, such as parent-child relationship, without using the standard of Salesforce approval process? So build a customer approval process using the Apex that query related data to determine the approval process steps. Use a custom metadata or custom setting to store the approval configuration or flexibility. Create a custom object to track approval stage and actions. Use a chatter for email alert to notify approvers and include button for approving and rejecting. Write a logic to move the record to the next stage based on the approval decision. The next question is you have a requirement to integrate your Salesforce system with external system that take time to process each request, but you need to avoid hitting the Salesforce callout limits. What's your approach? So use batch Apex to handle multiple records to in batch Apex. So call out asynchronously. Implement QL packs to chain the call out in scalable way. Consider platform event for asynchronous communication between the external system and reduce the tile real-time processing. If the call out are timing consuming, break them in multiple transactions and use a continuous class to handle the long running this thing. Okay, described how would you implement field security tracking custom objects. What are the standard field tracking in sufficient? So basically they want to understand, let's say in field level security, not field level security, field history and record history. So as you know, we can only add some limited fields there, but client has the multiple fields and multiple things needs to be tracked. So what's you need to done, you need to create a custom object logging a change the field such as record id, field name, old value, new value, change by, and the change rate. When a change is detected, create a record and user data batch processing. Its volume of data is high, avoid hitting governor limits. Okay. Explain how would you design a multi-select pick list value, work with a dynamic filtering LWC component. Use a custom metadata or custom object to define the dynamic filter values. Fetch the pick list option dynamically through the apex method that apply the filter based on your user input, and use the lightning dual list box component in LWC for a user-friendly multi-select experience, and implement the wire to get record to update the options real time based on the filter criteria. Okay. Now the next question is, our organization sells product to customer through the opportunity. Each opportunity can have multiple product opportunity line item to associate with it. Now the organization want to keep track the total number of products sold to each account and display the account record. So what we did, we write a one trigger on the opportunity line item object, and after insert, after delete, we are taking this. Okay. So because we'll either we create the opportunity items record or either we delete the lead. Okay. So we are having this method here. Inside this method, we are receiving the line items record, and these things we have. We have the opportunity ID set. We have the opportunity line item map. We have the list to update of the account. Okay. So first of all, we have this list checking here. If this list we are getting from this, then what needs to be do, we need to pass the opportunity id to the this particular set. Okay, and then we are checking if this set is not empty, then query on the account to get the account id. Okay, so we just get the account id here, and then we have this opportunity list item map and putting the opportunity record along with the opportunity account id and the zero. Now in the aggregate query, we are just querying the on the opportunity line items and getting the opportunity line items record using the that particular account, and then we are passing it as account ID and the opportunity list, opportunity line item list. Okay, so then we have this map and set we are passing. So we have the number of fields there, so which we are using here, and we are handling the exceptions. Okay, guys, so these all are the questions which are asked in the KPMG interview, Salesforce developer. So stay tuned to the Salesforce Helping Hand channel. So many videos are coming, and if you really like my content, so please don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel. Stay tuned to the Salesforce Helping Hand channel.